welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing two book recommendations that I highly recommend. They're very dear to me. A lot of people, when I first started reading them, were sick of hearing it from me because I love them so much. It's going to be To Sleep in a Sea of Stars and Swan Song. Now, these books, the reason why they're so dear to me is because certain situations in the book were very emotional. We'll get to that later on in the video. But these books, highly recommend. Like, I can't even get enough of them. Like, that's just how much of an impact they are to me. Now, the first book we're going to get into is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. He is the author of Eragon. He's also going to be coming out with Fractal Noise, which I'm like super excited, but that's a whole nother subject. So this book is about a female who attracts the Xeno. For now it's called the Xeno, but it's like a body suit almost, and it becomes her life. So it takes over everything. It takes over her hunger, her emotions almost, but not entirely. Just basically she becomes a part of it, rather. Starting off the book was kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of slow for me. I almost gave up. But as I kept pushing on, the story just got deeper with every chapter. Every character development was just phenomenal. So the main character is Kira Narvaez. She's on this mission to discover planets, and government finds a planet. Hey Kira, can you take your group, go check it out? So she basically is like a scout almost, and she goes on this planet. Her husband, who's also on the mission with her, says, listen, this is our last mission. I want to get married. I want to do this. Well, not married, but like rather settled down to where they don't have to be traveling anymore. He wants to have a regular, normal family. So she's like totally on with it. She's, for it. But then she gets hit with another mission while on that mission, and they're like, listen, we found something on the other side of this planet. Go check it out, and then you guys can come home. So everyone is like, nah, screw that. We're going home. We already got everything. This is just another side mission that we don't need to do. So she's like, all right, we can go home, but I want to know what it is. So her husband's like, listen, let's just go home. Like, we're already done. She's like, oh, but like we can get more merit for this job. So he thinks about it. He's like, all right, you know what? It's only going to cost us another 8 hours. What's 8 hours? For a whole lifetime, basically. So she goes, and as she gets to this spot where her partner, she basically looks at the, I want to say like an odometer, or, like a scanning mechanism, and she finds the pinpoint, but nothing's there. Then all of a sudden, the floor caves in and she falls in. And this is when she meets, or she attracts the Xeno. And after a couple hours of being knocked out, she wakes up, but she wakes up in this catacomb of like carvings and beautiful artwork and just amazement. To then, a couple minutes later, the catacomb starts caving in. So now she's fighting for her life to get out, and as she's getting out, she sees the little pod that she came in with her partner, and all of a sudden that sinks in, and they both just completely wipe out. So from that very moment, you sit there, you're wondering, well, it's pretty obvious that the floor caved in because she misstepped and stepped on a weak part of the planet. But then you come to find out later on in the story, that's not what happened. So as you go through that part, she discovers Xeno, or the Xeno, who is later named the Softblade, which is kind of a weird name, but then it kind of goes with it. Like, it's weird. It's like a on and off kind of situation, like a love and hate. And it's just a crazy, crazy beginning. Super slow, like I said. But as you progress, you'll meet Falcone, you'll meet Sparrow, Hua-Jung, Nielsen, Trig. Oh my god, Trig. One of my favorite characters. And then Gregorovich. Gregorovich is, to me, my most favorite character in the whole entire story. He's one of those that just come in clutch at the right moment type of person. To be honest, it was because of him that I kept reading, because his part of the story plays a really, really, really big part. Besides, Kira, who's basically the reason why war breaks out in the story. Then you got Joris and Vera. They're twins. They're a little creepy to me. They kind of freaked me out a little bit, but they're very funny. Falcone, he's just one of those characters who, he's a macho man, but in front of her, he's like a macho man, but elsewhere, he's like, he's soft, he's understanding, he's, well heard. He's a good captain throughout the story. So this story is obviously based in a galactic universe. You're gonna meet the original story of the Xeno, where it came from, how it got its name, Softblade. You're gonna see Kira's a very, very strong female leader, and I think that's what kind of pulled me in, was because she didn't take nothing from nobody. She was a fighter, and that's what, was one of the reasons that kept me going, because I wanted to see how she would come out of these problems. And as you read on, this book is just really, really, really good. As for the rating that I would give this book, out of 5, it would definitely be a 4.5. Just for the simple fact that it was super slow in the beginning. And, just the fact that I almost quit the book because it was super, super slow. And I picked this book up literally just shooting in the dark, like, like, all right, I'm just gonna see what's up about this book. If I don't like it, hey, whatever. It wasn't that much, but Lordy, Lord, this book was really, really, really good, and I'm so happy I took that chance with this book. Now, Swan Song, I keep this book dear to me. Like, if I was to play that challenge, what would I take to an island, and I had a choice of a book, it would definitely be this book. 100%. It's based in different parts of the country, so it's like 3 stories that come together to meet one ultimate ending, and it's crazy. So you got Josh and Swan, right? Yeah, Josh and Swan, who they're basically the main portion of the book, but like I said, it's 3 stories that come together. But really, because obviously the book is named after her, so Josh is a 7-foot, wouldn't say pro, but he's like an amateur pro wrestler. He's stopping by, I believe he's in Nebraska or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but he's stopping by this state to get gas, and he's going to go back home to his wife and kids because he misses them. And Swan also ends up at this gas station with her mom because her mom winds up leaving I wouldn't say husband, so would say her boyfriend, but they've been together for a while, because it was abusive, and her mom was like, listen, I'm done with everything. So she picked up Swan, and they go to this gas station because obviously the car that they took ran out of gas, and they coincidentally meet up at this gas station right when the cornfield opens up a chute and a rocket comes out. And right then and there, the United States government has launched a nuke from that field. And it wasn't just that field, it was multiple fields. But the nuke happened to be right in front of the gas station. So the nuke takes off, and all that gas and extreme heat breaks through the gas station, breaks through the windows, and some people actually burned. Some people survived it, but maybe a couple hours later they died. But Swan's mother, and the owner, I forgot his name, but he's an old countryman. They go into the cellar downstairs, and when they go, the nukes that were launched were also facing the Russian nukes that were launched. So they collide at, like, I want to say somewhere in between the ocean, but more towards the United States side. And the blast just took out like half of the country, or the majority of the whole country. And now everything is like apocalyptic. Buildings are falling, grass is burning, like an infinite source of grass being burnt for some reason, because of the plutonium, whatever. And now they're stuck underneath. So that's how their story begins. Then I know the second story was The King and the Prince. So that story was a little off to me, just for the simple fact that, you know, as you're reading through the book, their story is very scarce until the ending. So once the ending comes, is like, all right, they're more into the story. And their story is a little weird. The prince, who's this little kid, 13 years old, he's going on a family vacation with his mom and his dad. And they're going to this mountain where it was once an armory. I forgot with which war it was built for, but they're going to this huge mountain. And they're going in the armory, and they're supposed to be like war heroes that are there. You got the academies, the boot camps, all of that. They're all going there, and you know, they do a little festival there or whatever. They get there, and you know, the kid's like, oh my god, we're here again. The wife is like, oh my god, we're here again. And the husband's like, oh yeah, we're here again, let's go. But the kid winds up meeting one of the sergeants that happens to be part of a festival, and he's war-torn. Like, he carries his gun everywhere with him because he fears that somebody's gonna come and kill him. And mind you, there's kids coming around, so like, kid comes up to you, oh hey Mr. blah blah blah, whatever whatever, and then you get scared. Like, he's pulled the gun out on him because of that same situation. He winds up seeing a family that he's seen a couple times prior because they go here every year. So he winds up seeing the other family, and the son, they had like an internal beef because he thought his family was better and whatever. And this kid is like, yo, like, I don't really care. But now it's like, all right, like, you're gonna keep going with this. Now we're gonna fight. So they wind up getting into a little skirmish, I want to say, like a little quarrel. But it turns into something bigger because now this kid is influencing other kids. Like, yeah, his family is garbage, this, that, and the third. They think they're better than everybody, blah, blah, blah. And now the other kid's like, oh, saying the same thing. So now there's a group of them. It's like 2 freaking platoons of them just ready to go at it. Then when the nukes hit, the blast winds up knocking or shifting the plate of the mountain, and the mountain comes down. So now the whole armory is caved in. Different parts of it, you can't get through. You can't do anything really. Water's leaking. The main character, he loses his parents, so he goes to find them. The other kids are dead. They're squashed. Their limbs are off. Like, I know one of the kids, one of the rocks fell on his arm, and he bled out by the time the kid woke up. So he looks for his parents, and this is the part, like, that got to me because it changed him, and it changed who he was and how he thought, and it changes the perspective that he had. Because now he meets the sergeant who pulled the gun out on him, and he's like, listen kid, if you want to live, like, you gotta follow me, and we're gonna get out of this alive. But I need you to do me a favor. I'm not too sure if he had him cut off his leg or his arm, but him too, his limb, I remember, was stuck between a rock and every time he pulled, it was too painful. So I think the kid went and had to cut off his arm with the guy's war knife. Just imagine, like, you're cutting this dude's arm off with a super old knife. Like, crazy. Like, he went through a lot. Like, those last few hours or whatever, 2-3 hours that he was stuck in the armory. His story was a little weird, or their story was a little weird. But they go through a major plot twist in their story. They're key. They're a key part. But the next story is with this homeless woman from Manhattan in New York. And being from New York, I knew the places that she was walking through. And she happened to stop by this clothing store. And, you know, she was in love with the clothes. She was in love with the beautiful lights and the mannequins. And she thought they were real. Crazy. Like, she was delusional. But she noticed something on this bag, or rather, like this chandelier that was reflected off the bag. Every time she looked at it, she was drawn to it. She was like, oh my God, this is like another portal to this world I'd never been to. And when the nuke happened, I think she was in a basement or in a dumpster. I'm not too sure, but I know she wound up surviving and going to that store because she was so worried for that gemstone. And she winds up finding it on the floor, right? And it's shattered in one corner. But she was like, oh my God, it's still here. So she carries that with her. And then she meets some guy. The guy's like, listen, I got a wife I need to go to. You know, we need to get out of here. So they start traveling together and whatever. And they meet people. But here's the crazy part of this story. The devil is apparently rebirthed at this very segment of this era. But he's a shapeshifter. So when she looks inside of this stone or this gem, whatever it was, she sees a black, like, smoky figure. But she can't tell what it is. And it's every time she looks into this thing, she sees him. And they wind up going, and this is the crazy part. They wind up going to a movie theater. And he's there. And she don't know this. She don't know that he's literally like a couple seats away from her. And she held the gemstone while she was in the movie theater. For some reason, the movie theater was working and they put the movie on. She pulls the gemstone out while the movie's playing. And she's looking at it. And the devil looks at her. And all of a sudden, he starts bugging out. He tries taking the gem. And she winds up punching him in the face. And that was like the best part. She winds up punching him in the face and takes it and runs away. So now you have that going on. Then in the prince and the king, they have their own set of problems with a virus that gets not necessarily released. It was just because of the radioactive poisoning that went on. It affected their area. And then you got Josh and Swan, who eventually get out, and they're doing their own thing. They're trying to find shelter. They meet people. They meet a farmer who, he really loves his farm, and he's like, I'm never giving this farm up. Like, this is all I have. And that story gets very emotional. This whole book was just amazing. Like, when they met up, it was just so good. The post-apocalyptic scene in this book was amazing. It gets very descriptive of like the area, you know, the buildings burning. They go through a dust bowl type of thing in Josh and Swan's story. It's very good. It's very good. So the rating I would give this book is definitely 5 out of 5. Must read if you are really into sci-fi, post-apocalyptic. I actually named my Jeep after Swan. She's just a very interesting character. The plot twist that you go through, it's a whole roller coaster of emotion, and it's just amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, those are my 2 book recommendations. One is sci-fi, alien. Other one is sci-fi, post-apocalyptic. If you're looking for more book recommendations, more interesting facts about reading, about literature, if you're looking for tips on how to read better, how to read more, how reading affects your life, all that different things, do continue to watch my videos, subscribe, like, comment. If you want to follow me, or please rather, follow me on Instagram at One More Page PLZ. Again, One More Page PLZ. You'll see me there. I want to thank you guys for taking your time out of your busy day to watch this video. And as always, stay blessed, stay healthy, stay happy.